Namaste. Welcome to the Vijnana Bhairava studies. I'm Hagar. So we're entering the fourth dharna, the fourth meditation in the text, and it invites us once again into the space between exhalation and inhalation at the Dvadashanta, at the 12 fingers distance from our nostrils at the end of our exhalation, before we inhale back in, and then to meet Shakti, to meet the power of life, the power of the universe, and the capacity to exist in the center. They're also using the word Hrid here, the heart. So we can visualize the center as the central energy channel, this thing that connects us between ground and sky, but we can also think of it as the heart, really the place where we feel our own center being touched by the breath. So we're meeting Shakti in those two places. We're meeting ourselves as the power of the universe in those two centers. And then what the text tells us is that once we hold that space and retain the breath in those two spots, the Shakti that is being revealed is the Shakti of tranquility. It's Shanta Shakti. And then what's interesting is that it says that through Shanta Shakti, through the Shakti of peacefulness and tranquility, one gets to the essence of all things, which is Bhairava. And I find that really interesting because, and I'm not sure that the text really intends to take us there, but Bhairava, if you will, is the most ferocious, the most fierce form of Shiva. It's his really like fully fiery and monstrous and beastie and uncivilized and really, really intense form. And I find it really interesting that we are told to go to that place, that's the essence of all. I mean, the text is called Vijnana Bhairava. Bhairava is the point of this text, and we're so accustomed to think of meditation as a calming tool, and of course it is, but it's also an evocative experience. And this text keeps giving us dharnas, keeps giving us meditation, telling us what we're supposed to feel, what we're supposed to experience. And the truth is, if we actually keep ourselves open and see what comes up, kind of like when we go to a movie or when we read a great book or see a great piece of art or listen to this amazing song that we love, we're not always going to get the same effect. It's not always going to touch us in the same way. So I invite us to do these meditations with an openness. Sometimes we're going to feel peacefulness, and sometimes we're going to feel Bhairava full on. Sometimes the intensity of life is going to be so strong that what we touch in our meditations is the intensity of life itself. So I invite us to open ourselves, to be receptive to our own experience, and to consider how incredible it is that even though we're so used to meditation being thought of as a calming tool, this dharna, and there are other ones in this text that keep telling us that in the core of it all, there's Bhairava, which really tells us that in our core, we're not necessarily peaceful being, that in our center, there's the heat and the messiness and the beastiness and the intensity out of which this whole universe comes out of. Think of the Big Bang. It's a really big and intense and fiery energy that bursts itself into the existence of all things. So it's a little bit of a play between peace and intensity, between tranquility and ferocity. And in my opinion, that edge is where I'm interested in living and breathing and meditating and practicing. So let's do this. You can rub your hands together just to kind of remind yourself of the power of friction. And then let your hands rest either on your thighs with your palms facing down or up. And allow your eyes to get a little softer, and maybe your hips want to move around a little bit. Maybe your torso wants to circle your neck. And once the eyes soften enough and they want to close, just allow them to close. And begin by very simply bringing attention to your breath. And feel the breath moving up and down. Feel it pouring into you. And moving out through you. Feel the gentle pause that occurs at the end of your exhalation, 12 fingers distant from your nostrils. And the inhale coming in to fill the space. And the pause as you touch your center with your breath, with prana, with life force. And the urgency of the breath to then pour out. Feel that space at the Dvarashanta, at the 12 fingers distance. And then breathe in. And feel the opening of that space at the hrid, at the heart, at the center. And then allow the breath to flow out. Breathe in and touch your center. Notice what is there and breathe out. Letting the breath touch the 12 fingers distance. Very gently allow those pauses to lengthen a bit, to expand a bit. So that as you pause at the heart, you can feel the expansion of that place, moving horizontally side to side, back and front, opening. And when the exhalation flows out and touches at Dvarashanta, before you breathe in at the Dvarashanta, notice what's present. With every inhalation, as the breath pours in into your own center, allow the breath to keep moving, but the attention to stay grounded in that space of your center. you breathe out and Prana Sakti touches Svadhisthana. Before the breath pours back in, there's this opening. And every opening at the Svadhisthana or at the heart at the center can be a portal. Keep the breath flowing in and out, touching with awareness those two centers. And notice what arises, what draws your attention in those two spots. Notice how you feel, what your experience is, the kind of images that flow through you, the words that pulse. And notice if there is a connection to the intensity in any way. Can you feel this ferocity at the core of your being, wanting to exist? Keep breathing in this steady way that opens up those two centers. And notice if in the center or in the movement there's a sweetness. If there's a peace. And now very softly and sweetly bring your hands together in Anjali Mudra in front of your heart. Again, rub your hands together. Use friction as a coming back into sensation and feeling and thought in the world. And then allow your eyes to softly open. I always go so deep with you. So thanks for doing this with me. Ooh. The meditation high. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Namaste.